digging through 1 Corinthians 13. Just basically that. So who needs a Bible or a pen? I got one. There's three. Who wants one? It's free. Yeah, there you go. If anything, you can just use it to write on. Anyone? Okay. Boom. Who needs a pen? I got pens. Dude, you guys are awesome. Tell him. Anything. Sorry if they don't work. Hey, so we're going to be in 1 Corinthians 13. This chapter is widely known for being the love chapter, so I guess it's ironic that we're talking about love and 2 days before Valentine's Day. I don't really have any good Valentine's Day stories, if any, but one that I got is, not actually really good at all. But when we have love in our lives and we love people, we do things for them. When I was in 8th grade, I wanted to show my mom love by fixing the sidewalk. And my mom was all about upgrading things and making things look nicer. So I was like, I'll just dig out all these bricks and replace them and make them all look nice. So when I was 14 years old, I'm out in my backyard and digging out bricks in my sidewalk. And I get halfway done probably, and my dad comes out and he starts grilling me, just what are you doing? Stop messing up my sidewalk. So I'm on my sidewalk, and he's coming over to my house right now. I just have this jacked up sidewalk, and I never fixed it or anything, but I was just trying to show my mom some love. And sometimes we fail, but sometimes we don't, and sometimes it's worth it. But so we're going to be talking about Corinthians 13 and how Paul shows the importance of love and how it has an effect in our life and what it looks like to have the characteristics of love apply to us, and then how it can be significant and permanent and be applied. So to give you some context, this is widely known for being used at weddings. Chapter 13 is the love chapter. We like it because love makes us feel good. It makes you feel happy about yourself, and you say it at weddings because it's something that you want to apply to yourself. I've been going to a lot of weddings lately. My mentor got married a couple of years ago, so my family drove to Michigan. So if you put it in your palm, we went here. Yeah. So we went all the way up to this part of Michigan for a wedding, and it was awesome. Nick's wedding was on the beach of Lake Michigan. It was in the middle of July. It was probably 95 degrees. It was super hot, but it was a great ceremony. And then last summer, I went to my friend Corey's sister's wedding in St. Louis, and it was also in July, but it was at night. But both these weddings were super different. One was in a chapel, one was outside. Marissa's wedding was probably a little bit more traditional. It had definitely a lot of structure, and they definitely were a little bit more conservative. But Nick's wedding was also just as special and just as effective. But although they were really different, both effective. That was a weird word. But both weddings read in Corinthians 13, the love chapter. They read verses 4 through 7 about love is patient, love is kind. They talk about this at weddings because these words, I don't want to mess this up, I gotta get my notes right. These words powerfully point us to what it looks like to be in a relationship with God. Love points us to God, and it points us to how we can walk with Him and how we can walk like Him and to look like He does. So that's what we're talking about. But this book, this chapter, Paul didn't write this so that we could use it at weddings. It wasn't his intention. Paul wrote this as an argument against the actions of the people in Corinth. We're in Corinthians 1:13. You guys know about the church in Corinth at all, or anything about Paul? Paul was an apostle. Paul was set apart by God to carry out a movement. He was probably the number one biggest enemy toward Christians, or people that were following Jesus at the time. And he killed Christians on a consistent basis, but one day his life changed and was transformed, and he ended up writing half the New Testament, something like that. But he's a powerful dude, and he's telling the church in Corinth that what you do does not matter unless you have love. In chapter 12, the church in Corinth, the people are building themselves off of what they do. They're arguing and debating and comparing themselves to each other based off of their actions. I have this role, I'm good at this, I'm good at that. I'm athletic, I'm good looking, I have smarts, I can talk a lot, I can talk effectively, I have nice hair. or I have staring at you right now. But they're building themselves up with their identity and what they do and what they bring to the table. And Paul says, I don't care about what you do. It doesn't matter without love. Without love, what you do is meaningless. That's a powerful thing. It's not meant to be at weddings. This is an argument of showing the importance of being rooted in love. So in the first, this chapter is kind of split up into 3 parts. The first 3 verses are about the importance of love, so we're going to attack that a little bit. Then go on about the characteristics in 4 through 7. And at the end, we're talking about what it means to be permanently rooted in love. So let's get started. All right. All right, so chapter 13, verse 1. If you want to follow along, it's in your notes right next to you. If I speak in tongues of men and of angels but have not love, I am a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have a faith that can move mountains but I have not love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and surrender my body to the flames but have not love, I gain nothing. See, over the past 2 weeks we've been talking about faith and hope, and the fact that hope sees, it looks beyond your circumstance, and faith moves, that you have action with what you do. See, but Paul's talking about that beyond these 2 things, that love is way more important, because love is eternally significant. In the first 3 verses, he says that love makes our actions and gifts useful. He's telling the church in Corinth that, you guys have all these gifts of prophecy and speaking in tongues, and you can do all this stuff, but it doesn't matter without love. The church in Corinth is very egotistic, and they boast on what they do, kind of like America, kind of like us. This applies to us. We all kind of build ourselves up of what we do. I like to play tennis, and I like to do things, and I like to have good conversations. And sometimes I find myself building up my identity off of my ability to create good conversations. That's not right. Without love, all your interactions with people are meaningless. See, saying here is that love, although we have different skills, and although that Caleb Schumer is in 8th grade and is fantastic at playing guitar, and I love him, although he has this, and I can't play guitar with my life. I can't draw, I can't do anything. I haven't taken art since 6th grade. My theater class, we were supposed to draw things for design or something, and I was like, this is theater. Alex knows. Alex helped me out with it because I can't draw. I was drawing stick figures, and we were supposed to be designing costumes. And that's not my talent. What Paul's saying is that without love, all your talents are useless. But we all bring different things to the table, and with love, we can all make them useful. See, that's what the point of our talents are, is to build up the church and build up the people around us. Without love, it doesn't matter how smart you are or how much knowledge you have, because no one's going to care unless they can tell that you genuinely care for them. The next thing is that we all have gifts, but we all have the ability to love. We all have different attributes and different skills, but together we can all love, okay? So that's the second one, that's a B. What he also says is, if I speak in tongues of men and of angels but have not love, I am a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. This means that without love, you're ultimately destructive. You are nothing but destructive. Because, so what if I have all this knowledge? So what if I got a 34 on the ACT? So what if I make $50 billion a year and own my own country? Without love, it is all useless. I don't know if you guys have been watching the Olympics lately, but Vladimir Putin basically controls everything, every aspect of this Olympic Games. They call Sochi Putin's playground. Putin controls everything that he wants to do here, and it's all for him, and it's all for his glory. But what Putin's going to find is that at the end of the day, this doesn't matter. He's going to be ultimately unfulfilled. And without love, it doesn't matter how much strength and how much standing he has. So that's what Paul's arguing, is that without it, you are a clanging cymbal. Do you guys know those kids that tend to talk a lot and they don't have any interest in hearing what you have to say in class when you're having debates and you like to argue? The other day, 2 days ago, Abby and I were talking about plastic bottles, and we got in this argument about plastic bottle recycling, and I was trying to prove to Abby that plastic bottle recycling is more important because people like to make money off of it, and it's not really about saving the environment, right? And Abby was like, this is stupid, and we got in this argument, and I was like, I am seriously debating about plastic bottles right now, this is stupid. And we both got a little bit frustrated. Emily was there too, just listening. Emily is great at listening and being slow to talk. Emily is not a clanging gong, or a resounding gong, or a clanging cymbal. I can be a resounding gong because I talk all the time. But when we're slow to speak and quick to listen, we are not gongs. Guys, we can't teach and share what we have to say effectively without love. You know, if we're just going to be like those religious kids that talk all the time and don't have any love and we just want to debate, you know, that's not what we're about, because that's not rooted in love. That has nothing to do with Jesus. And I don't want to be a gong. I don't want to be known as a kid that just goes around and speaks and doesn't care about what you have to say. I want to be in genuine relationships. And gongs are annoying. I don't know if you've hung out with people that have gongs or bang on gongs on a consistent basis, but who else is into baking in here? So I don't know if you guys know, but I stole Miss Bushmeyer's gong, and I'm going to bang on it just to prove that gongs are annoying. Awesome. See, it is annoying. I'm glad that I got this. It was really fun. They're annoying. You know, we don't want to be gongs. And without love, Paul is saying to the church in Corinth that if without love, you are a resounding gong. I don't want to be an annoying gong. And I don't want to be a religious kid. One of my friends, he consistently tells me that he respects my, my intensity or enjoys that I have, like I take my religion seriously. And I'm telling to him, like, dude, I don't care about religion. I don't care about, like, living up to standard. I just want to be loving. I just want to avoid being a gong. I want to love Jesus, and I want to be in genuine relationships. He's like, you know, I respect you, Austin, because, you know, you take what you say seriously, and all these other nominal Christians, you know, need to take notes from you. And I'm like, dude, that's not what this is about. That's not loving at all. You're just trying to build yourself up off a standard. See, what my friend doesn't know is that he does not control his own standing. And what he's trying to build himself up off of is his amount of knowledge. And ultimately, he's going to find out that he's not going to be fulfilled. And I pray that that does not happen to him. And someday he realizes that he's a gong. He might not be a religious gong, but he's also a gong because he doesn't care about what other people have to say. He just likes to hear himself talk. But like Paul says, without love, you're ultimately destructive. You're not going to gain any standing or gain any happiness or gain any contentment through knowledge or talent. There's nothing wrong with talent, but when you don't have love with it, there's not any sort of satisfaction. Because it's what your talents have, what you were given to do, is used to build other people up. That's what he's arguing here. This isn't a lovey-dovey passage about love, and to say it to your spouse at your wedding. It's explaining to you the importance of being rooted in love. All right, let's get back on track a little bit. So C, without love, I am nothing but destructive. D, I already kind of hit on this. I gain nothing by striving for an identity rooted outside of love. Like I said before, Vladimir Putin pretty much owns this entire country. They say he's the president. He's more like a dictator. I don't really know too much about politics, and my same friend will argue with me all day about how much I don't know about politics. But the fact is that we gain nothing out of standing. You know, when we're left to strive for success by what we do, how are you supposed to be in genuine relationships if we're always trying to one-up each other? Because if it's all about me beating you or gaining more power or a better reputation, we're always going to be fighting each other because, you know, I want to be better than you. That's not love. That's competition. That's selfish ambition. And ultimately, that leads to destruction because we're not being rooted in genuine love. So, ask yourself, what are you striving for? And does what you're striving for have eternal significance? Sometimes I like to strive for cash. I don't actually have a job that pays, so my wallet's pretty empty. And I kind of am jealous of some of my friends that, you know, have a lot of money. I'm just like, man, I wish I could walk around with over $30 bills in my wallet. But, you know, I don't have the cash. You look at my wallet, I have zero money. But, you know, I think I know at the end of the day is that I'm not going to be fulfilled with cash. And you're not going to be gaining anything with what you do. You know, I think a lot of people here are pretty athletic. And what you'll find is that you're going to be happy when you're playing sports, but don't try to build your identity off of what you do. Because ultimately you're going to be dissatisfied and sad. And when you realize that you're not playing sports anymore, you're like, oh man, what am I? What do I do? I don't like Tim Tebow. I'm not like a Florida fan like Mitch. I mean, Mitch is obsessed with Florida Gators football. But what I respect about Tim Tebow is that He doesn't make his identity off of throwing passes, which is good because he can't throw very well. But when he didn't make an NFL team, he said, you know what, I'm fine with life because my identity is not built off of my athletic ability. My identity is built off of my relationship with Jesus. And then we're going to hit on that and the importance of being rooted in Jesus. So moving on. Just think about it for a second. What are you striving for? Are you striving for better looks? Are you striving for more knowledge? Are you striving for a good education? Are you striving for